Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Brownish Live. That is not my co-host that way. That is not
You're
my co-host.
racist. And if you thought I was, you're racist.
Exactly. All brown people look the same. No, we don't.
No, we
Uh,
don't.
my co-host Sasha Merci, she's actually stuck right now because they're filming the new season of Like Share Dímelo on Fuse. If you haven't, go watch previous episodes on YouTube. And yeah, the new normal. Like she's stuck in a meeting and she's so sad because she really wanted to chop it up with you. But you know her. She is one of the stars of Netflix's On My Block. I just saw you on How to Get Away with Murder because now that we're all locked in, I'm watching I'm just binging. I'm like, oh. Big round of applause for Jessica Marie Garcia. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am great. Well, as great as you can be during a pandemic.
And I feel that on top of everything else. It just feels like, thanks to you, I have something to smile about today. Because hot damn. Yeah.
It's so funny because I do these, and sometimes we'll have the meeting beforehand and hey, let's not talk about that pandemic, but you kind of have to because it's still going. Like at some point you thought, or I thought, it's gonna be over. Like when it first started, I remember best case scenario, I was like, oh, probably by July we're done.
You listened to Trump? That's what.
No, I didn't listen to Trump.
Isn't that what he said?
I don't know, because you know what? A lot of it too for me is I was being a little selfish. I'm not gonna lie, because I do stand up comedy, and I travel, and we had to push the tour dates back, and all the clubs were like, "Hey, you know what? We'll push it back to like July, August." So in my head, I was like, "Yeah, July, August. That sounds about right."
Yeah.
Be back on the road.
Everyone becomes a scientist, and they're like, July 15th. I'm telling you, that is the day that this will all be over. And then it's like they still have to do like trials for, I want to say, at least a year before they can say, okay, this works for everyone. And then like who gets the medicine first?
Yeah,
like that's gonna be a whole other thing.
Rich people.
Right?
Not us.
I'm like, can I please meet the quota? I don't know.
It's so funny because exactly what you're saying. Like people, everybody's a scientist. Everybody's like, oh yeah, once the vaccine comes out, but like I don't even want to be the first person to try it.
Hell no.
People like, I'm gonna take it right away. I'm like, it hasn't even been tested. You don't know. Like, what if you have an arm growing out of your neck? You have no idea.
Or like you don't know what that effect is going to have years down the road on your body, or like let's say you're an expectant mother, or in the future, like they have no idea what this is going to end up doing. I always get super nervous about that. I have psoriasis, and every single commercial is like, take this shot every day and it will lower your psoriasis by like 70, it'll go clear 75%. Now you may die because you can't fight infection, and like it just gives you this long list of horrible like things that can happen to you, and it's like, no, I'll just I'll just have psoriasis. Like nobody knows. Like
they don't say clearly what the side effect. They mumble at the end, like, "Oh no, you should take this. It's going to totally help you." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
Oh my god!
What was that?
I do voiceovers sometimes, and like I'll get an audition, and they're like, specifically say this part as quickly as you can, and it's literally like it may cause blah blah blah, like anal leakage and death, and you're like, oh, I just wanted to eat potato chips. I don't feel like this is what I needed for that.
Right.
No, it's a terrifying time to be alive, honestly. Thank God for weed and Zoom and
he's here. Well, I'm glad to have you on.
Thank you.
I'm going to confess this. I'm infatuated with you. Can I say that?
Yes, please, as often as possible.
Yeah, I'm very so I saw you first on my block, and that first scene when you just came out, it was one of those like, who the hell is that? Like, as
oh god,
onto that, like just the speed. I was like, I don't know who she is, but I love her.
love you so much for saying that, because I was it was really a terrifying experience too, because I was like being so like vulnerable. You know, comedy is so vulnerable. So it's like I, was going all out there, and I'm like, oh my God, people are going to think I am so annoying. It's like some people did, but I'm like at the same time, it's like if I've said this a million times, and I feel like I'm gonna have eventually like a YouTube compilation of just me saying this in every interview. But I feel like if you don't know a Jasmine, you are the Jasmine. And I just know that she exists for so many people that and she's me as well. But I was just very excited and nervous to see how people were going to react to her. So I really appreciate you saying that.
So now when you first, like, I want to take it back, like you get the audition for this part, like do you read this part and go, oh my God, I know how to do, or is it one of those things like, she's a little, I don't want to play her?
Okay, so it was a lot of things. Well, first of all, I didn't get the audition. I have a really great, incredibly talented Latina girlfriend named Victoria Morales, and she had the audition, and she read it and was like, girl, I am not Jasmine. You are Jasmine. You need to read the script. And I read it, and it's mostly because, she's such a young character, and I'm not 14, I'm like 18, Don't Google that. But yeah, like I'm 18. My 15 is tomorrow.
We're gonna talk about all that.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Because
what?
Hold on, because I want you to finish that story, but we're gonna talk about that because I see you in the show and I'm obsessed with you. And then I saw you last year at Hispanicize, and it was one of those things like, wait a sec, do I know her? Because I didn't recognize you because you're like straight hair.
I had all the fake hair. Yeah,
like a power suit, like woman, and I was like, who's that lady? And I was like, wait a second, is that how old is this? She's an enigma. She's a chameleon.
It's one of those things that it's such a blessing. It's a small, tiny curse, especially for my husband, because my husband's 40 years old and he's a grown-ass man and he's bald. He shaves his head. So there's been so many times, because I was on Disney before On My Block. Right. So there were so many times where we would be out and people would be like, oh my God, aren't you so proud of your daughter?
Oh my God.
And he's like, oh God. He's like, this is so uncomfortable. And he's like, sometimes it's just easier to be like, yes, I am. Yes, she's the jewel in my eye. Like, no, it's so weird. But no, I'm very thankful for it. And I'll play it for as long as they'll, let me get away with it. And
she goes, this is you.
What?
Right? Your friend reads the part. She goes, oh my God, you're this part.
Yes. So I read the script and I was like, oh my God. I loved the script as a whole, because I felt like each one of these characters would be side characters in someone else's story, in someone else's show. So the fact that, we got to have this like beautiful, like motley crew of kids who I would have killed to have seen on TV growing up. That I was just like, hell yes, I want to be a part of this. And then reading Jasmine, I saw through that act from her first scene. Because, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that I am Jasmine. But it's just like anyone, and this, you lead with comedy in order for you not to really see all of these walls that I've built up, in order for you not to hurt me. And if like I can say the joke, then I won't be the joke. Yeah. And having a gap and being overweight and having psoriasis and literally having one brow. I don't have two brows. I have one that I weed whack on an hourly basis. I got made fun of a lot as a kid. So comedy was definitely something that like I ran to in order to, deflect from anything I was feeling. So when I read Jasmine, I was like, I know she's going through some real shit at home. Right. And all the sexual stuff, I knew from the beginning. I was like, this girl has never kissed a boy. Like she talks all this game. Like I knew that from jump, because again, like I'm Jasmine. Yeah. So that's kind of like how I had to play her in order to, not feel like I was playing a stereotype that people would also put in every other show. And thankful I have like incredible creators and producers who were like, no, that's what we want. So because at that point when I auditioned, all the scripts are written, they were already brought into Netflix. But they let me know, they were like, if we knew that we were picking you to be Jasmine, we would have wanted to do so much more. So that thankfully, I was able to do that and show more of those layers in season 2 and 3, and hopefully season 4, if that happens. and see where it goes. But again, like, this is a whole new thing for me because I'm used to playing, you know, those side characters that are really funny. Like, this is the most I've been on screen in my life, and I'm just like, please don't take it away. Please.
So you've always done sort of comedy, you know, on Disney. You did the was it Living Maddie?
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for not
and
saying Living Maddie or
no. I've got a goddaughter. I've got kids, so I've
yes.
watched a lot of these live action shows, and a lot of times I'm like, huh, interesting. Like they're watching multicam. They don't even know it though. And
I
now, you
love
know,
multicam.
on my block, and then like How to Get Away with Murder, you weren't funny, you were very serious. So like for you, is your next thing, like, would you love to stick with comedy or to start delving into that drama? You know, like what's like a dream role for you to do?
Ooh, I would want to be Lady Macbeth, or I would want to be Martha and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Uh-huh.
I definitely love drama, and again, I think that that's because comedy stems from such a dark place.
Right.
And I always tell people, I'm like, if you think I'm funny, my drama is a lot better. But that's just, I can't wait to just, you know, cut my heart open and just, you know, bleed for everyone. Like, that's definitely why I got into this, was to tell those stories and to, you know, just kind of spread those acting wings a little bit. I feel like selfishly I want to do that and
Mhm.
show that. But you know, I'm kind of very open to whatever comes my way. I try to live in a place of yes. You know,
Mhm.
I hear that's a good thing and that
Yeah.
works for people.
Well, in
And
a place that's constantly telling us no, it's good to look
I
in the
know. I was about to say, because I'm like, I don't really get to pick what comes next. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if you know, it doesn't work like that for everybody.
yeah,
They're like, what do you want to do next? I was like, I don't know. Fuck, I haven't auditioned in 3 months. I don't know. I just want the phone to ring.
yeah. So yeah, you said you got into this to have your heart bleed for everybody. How did you even get your start? Because I find that, you know, most Latinos or anybody for people of color, like if you talk to the parents are very, I don't want to say anti-art, but for them they don't get it. Like my mom, when I was like, I want to do comedy, like she's an immigrant, came over to this country at 19 from Guatemala, and for her, she was like, wait, hold on, I crossed the border. I worked these awful jobs. I broke my back and spirit and left my family for a better life for you. And you're just gonna tell jokes. That's what you're gonna do. Like it was like a heartbreaking thing for her.
Yeah.
So like anytime you bring up like acting or art or anything, like I always find like the parents are just very like, what are you doing?
Well, I was lucky that I had, like, it skipped a generation. So my grandparents, who I lived with, because hello, we're Latino,
Mhm.
old school Cuban grandparents who immigrated and had a very horrible
Yeah.
immigration story. Read my op-ed if you want. Just kidding. I'm not gonna plug that. Anyway, but with them, my mother was a dancer. My mother was an incredible and is still an incredible dancer, and
Mhm.
she actually had an opportunity at one of the clubs, I think in Jersey, where she was going to get a chance to dance on American Bandstand. And
Mhm.
my grandparents literally flipped out. My grandfather was like, no, because in his mind, actors are whores. You know what I mean? Like, that's just that mindset. So my
Mhm.
mom listened to him and put all her dreams aside. I swear my grandfather's a nice man. I swear he was. That sounds horrible, but it's true. But she never wanted to do that to me. So she was actually the opposite, where she was incredibly supportive and wanting me to do this 100%. Did everyone else agree? No, but as far as she was concerned, she always had my back and wanted me to do this, but also had no idea how to help me, which I think is like another situation we fall in, where it's like she wanted to give me everything but didn't know anything about this business. So I kind of had to learn that on my own and kind of make my own mistakes and fall a bit to get back up. But no, I was lucky to have her um by, you know, in my corner. Oh my God, are you not there? Eric, are you not here?
I'm here. Sorry, I don't know. My internet just
Yo,
crapped out.
did I have that whole like sentimental conversation with myself?
I got up to the Cuban father,
Oh wow.
who we
Cuban mother,
Cuban
Cuban
mother, who's gonna
grandfather.
dance, the
Ay,
Greek
Dios mío.
father. He was like, "No,
Listen,
don't dance." She was gonna dance, and then
listen.
I don't know what happened. The internet just cut
That's
me out.
okay. No, that's so okay. But like in a nutshell, because like, did everyone else see it, or did no one hear that?
I think so. We got a couple people in the chat. Did you guys hear? I heard a what? So maybe
Oh,
she for you
I don't
or
know. What does what mean? Did what mean you heard it? Did what mean you didn't hear it? Did what mean you hated what you heard?
yeah.
All of the three can apply.
Oh, they
But
heard it.
no.
So they heard your story. I'm gonna have to watch
Okay,
it.
good.
Very upsetting. Because you were very fast, and I was like, and then you just stopped, and I was like,
Well,
wait, what?
you stopped, and I was like, did he just mute his whole like head and face in order so he could like go to the bathroom or something? Like I didn't know what was happening because it was a perfect smile that you were paused on. But anyway, yeah, no. In a nutshell, like my grandparents didn't understand it. My mom wanted to be incredibly supportive because she never wanted to do to me what was done to her.
Right.
She was like, we came to this country to give you everything. Why would I stop you from having that dream? But again, she didn't have any knowledge of what I wanted to do in order to help me, which I think was hard for her.
Right.
So I kind of made a lot of mistakes along the way, had horrible managers, like had like really horrible, like, you had a horrible manager too.
Haven't we all?
It's like, and it's scary because you never know. You kind of get one shot at this. So, yeah, it was interesting. But I went to a performing arts high school in Orlando, or I should say a magnet program in a high school. But the program was like the big thing at that school.
Right.
And, got a really great knowledge for theater and the craft, and also learned about rejection because this school was like, it was like fucking fame. Like it was like you were either everything or you were nothing, and I was nothing. So I did a lot of tech. So I have very much a great appreciation for everything that goes behind the scenes.
Right.
But yeah, and then like I had a friend who had that crazy ass manager here in Florida, and not here in Florida, I'm in LA, but they're in Florida, and then who had us come out here, and then that's what we did, and the rest is history.
All right.
But she was, whew.
Yeah. No, I think we've all had bad managers. It's so funny because like I'll have like new comics, and sometimes like new like just people that met me through like Instagram and they always ask like, I'm meeting with these managers. What should I ask, or what do I look for? I'm like, you need to find somebody that's passionate about you.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of times like these managers will just sign people like, oh, I've got one. I'm gonna put it on the shelf right here, and
yeah.
Maybe it'll do something, maybe it won't. I don't know.
And they're like, and if anything comes down the line that says brown, I'll put you in for it. And it's if you like, people have no idea. Your manager has to know you inside and out so they can like fight for you and be like, no, you need to see this person because this is what they can do. Yeah. Instead, like it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's where the passion comes from. I've had agents like I can tell. I used to be able to tell when they forgot what I did because I would just get like, oh, we've got this thing for Spanish radio. And I'm like, all right, guys, let's because I am bilingual, but I think you guys are missing a lot of stuff because you've forgotten what I do and who I am. And then they'd be like, oh my God, you can do this. I'm like, yeah, that's why I thought we signed.
Yeah, no. That happens to me for voiceovers all the time. It's like they only put me in for anything that says Latina on the voice. And I'm like, I don't know if you can hear me, but I don't necessarily sound like I'm from any like Latin background at all in my voice. I don't know what you mean by that. So it's like, and then when you go there and you're like, no, they just want me, right? So I'll just be me. They're like, can you roll your R's? Like, and you're like, okay, bye. Like, this is not for me.
I know I've said this before, but that's when I have fun with them because they try to ask you, what they're asking. They want you to be like, oh, McDonald's, what happened? And you're just like, I'm not going to do that. So what I end up doing, and I have so much fun with it, is I make them do it for me to see them get uncomfortable. Hey, could you, like, we love what you did, but could you, I don't know, be more, I'm like, I don't, can you show me? And then you just watch it squirm. Because they know like if they do that, it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, I'm not understanding what you're asking. Can you show me real quick? Like just like a hint of an accent, like British. What are you talking about? Can you? What do you mean?
that's like working at a restaurant and then having, oh my God, I had this one owner of a restaurant that I worked at that would always go to the, like, super, super white, would go back into the kitchen and be like, hey, guys, do you think that maybe we could, I'm like, where the fuck? Do you think that they understand you if you do an accent in English?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh my God. It was just like, this is real life. People really do this.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
really honestly do this.
The world does not surprise me anymore. That's why I always laugh
No.
when people act surprised, like, oh, can you believe they do that? I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, I can.
it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So you went Jersey down to Florida, and then you moved out here.
Yes.
What brought that move out here for you?
Well, it was right. I had it's kind of like a story. That year it was like at the end of 2005 in Florida, we had like 5 or 6 hurricanes in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And that demolished my senior year of high school because I think we only ended up going to school for like a whole of like 3 months sporadically. Like it was like really, really bad at the end of that. So I damaged my house. I ended up leaving school in order to get a full-time job in Florida. Because my house was completely demolished and insurance only covered so much. And so I did that. And then I was like, we moved, and I had a friend who had moved out to LA already. And she was like, what are you waiting for? Like, you're not in school anymore. Like, I need you here. Like, rent is, high in LA. And I had plans to live with her later. So I was like, shit, I need to do it. And my mom, again, was so supportive, but I had an 83-year-old senile grandmother who we then drove across country with. Yes, that's a story in itself, from Florida to LA. And oh my God, that was the hardest.
Have you not read the book or screenplay yet?
I really, really should. I don't want to call my grandmother out too much, but it was a lot. But but yeah, no, it was really, really hard. That year was the hardest year of my life. I mean, I got pickpocketed I think the second day I lived in LA, and that took my social security card, that took my license, that took everything. I'm like 19, and like I had literally the day before, the day I got here, the first day I got a job at Olive Garden hosting. And that was like, okay, so it's only up and up. And then I got my money stolen. It was like the worst. And then it kind of just went downhill from there. And that was the first time that I was like, oh shit, this is being a grown-up. Because before then, like, I had been, taken really good care of. Like, my mom gave me the world. And I think that was like the first time that I was like, oh shit, I can't even imagine all the things that she sacrificed and did just so I could never worry about anything, And I was like, oh.
There's nothing worse than becoming a grown-up. And I still, some days I'm like, I don't even know if I'm a grown-up. But like, finding out like just what things, the value of things. Like I call my mother every day. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm so sorry. And she just laughs. Because like I remember the first time I moved out, I was like, oh, it can't be that hard. And I was like, wait a second. Electricity is how much?
Yeah.
Cable?
I have to do
that? Yeah. So,
what happens if I don't give them the money?
Yeah.
I remember it was like the first time that I was like, I have $5. I can eat or I can get gas, and I have to go to work tomorrow. And that was like the first time that's ever been a situation with me. And I was like, privilege, bam, right in the face. But I wouldn't take it back. I feel like I'm I'm much more of a more grateful person. Like, I was such a fucking brat as a teenager. Like, I thought I deserved the world.
Oh yeah, we all do at that age, though. You're just like, I'm amazing, and then
I'm amazing. I can't wait till I go to LA and I walk down the street and they go, "You, start my movie."
So, look, a quick side question: like, when not everything's going well for you, do you ever go back to that Olive Garden? Like, I'm gonna go eat there. Just Oh, you do?
Well, first of all, it's Olive Garden. Hello, when you're there, your family. But I do. And there's and I still see some people that I still worked with. And like that's a very like humbling experience because I mean I know a lot of their story. And I think you get so caught up in yourself and you're just like, wow, I have so much to be grateful for. Wow. And again, you are a brat. But yeah, no, I still definitely do. And I also feel like everybody should have at least a year of working in a restaurant or like retail or anything that involves people and serving because, you learn a lot. It's a very humbling experience. Like,
I worked at an Applebee's, I worked at an Uno's, and I worked at the Gap.
Yes.
I feel so bad for the people at the Gap because like you'd fold it and you had to, everything had to be lined up perfectly. And then there was always that one jackass that would come and take that shirt right in the middle and just and the whole pile just fall over. And I'm like, that person is an evil person.
Yep. Because they don't care. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like people think like, or my biggest pet peeve, I just feel like it says a lot about a person, is two things. When people leave all their shit in a movie theater when they leave, that pisses me off to no end. Or when people don't return their shopping cart.
Oh yeah.
Like just because it's not your job, it shouldn't be somebody else's job. Like clean up after yourself. Like what the
I'll have you know, if I ever come to your house and have dinner, I will clean up my dishes, even though no, because in my head, my mom could be around the corner ready to smack the shit out of me.
Oh my God, you leave somebody's house and like you left your cup on the table that you were saying, oh my God, no.
Yeah,
no.
I'll pick up my stuff. I'll pick up people next to me because like I'm like could be here, and she'll slap me.
And you'll just feel the, you'll just put your head down.
Oh, you're kidding now? You got help that's gonna come?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sadly though, I agree with you. Olive Garden. So I've got 2 kids. My 7-year-old, that's his favorite restaurant. That's his favorite.
Is it the breadsticks or is it like the kids menu?
Loves the breadsticks, and I always call him my little old man because he's 7 years old, but like he's that little kid. Like we went through this heat wave a couple weeks ago. It's like, hey man, what do you want for dinner? I'll chicken noodle soup, and you're like, what? You're what? How old are you? 90? Like, stop it! But he loves the zuppa toscana. Like he just wants to go get soup and breadsticks.
I used to take that because like first of all, food isn't free when you work at Olive Garden. That shit sucks. The only thing is free is breadsticks. I survived off breadsticks when I worked there. But like I would do this I would do the pasta fagioli. And I would cover that. It was more grated cheese than pasta fagioli, and then I would put so much fucking hot sauce on it. And that was the most delicious thing. I dream about that. That's why I literally go back. Is just for the pasta fagioli.
Now, so you're here, you're working at Olive Garden. At what point does things start, I don't know, like turning for you? Like when do you see that first audition that you book or somebody noticing that there's something going on with you?
I think it was when I booked Huge for ABC Family. I think it was 2010. That was the first audition. It was the first audition I got with my brand new agent that I had gotten years after I got here. I had to go through a couple. And it was the first one that I had through this specific agent. And it was auditioned for a teenage overweight camp. And I feel like this show was so ahead of its time. The creator, Winnie Holzman, created My So-Called Life and wrote the book for Wicked. Like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know if it's the book. I might have misquoted that. Oh my God, and I gave her an award. Just pretend I never said anything about this. Anyway, so it was like the first audition that I had that I was going through the process. Like I auditioned for The Best Friend, and then they had me come back as the lead. And then I went to like producers for The Best Friend and back and forth. And I was like, okay, so today was a callback. So what does that mean? And then it's like next in like a couple of days, like, okay, so now you're going to, I think it was producers, and then it was studio, and then it was network. And like my mom being like, isn't that the same thing? And I'm like, no. And like you're going back and forth, and it was the longest process. And I was like, this is the closest I've ever been to something, And then I found out that I didn't get any of the parts I auditioned for. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is sad because you almost feel like you're in a relationship with this character. Like you work on it, you're doing it over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden you are not putting Huge up.
What you talking about?
No, I love it. I miss it. It's just so funny. I was like, what are you doing? But so I was sad, but I was like, okay. And then they let me know that they wanted to write a character specifically for me. And I was like, wait, that's a thing that can happen? And that kind of blew my mind. And I feel like so much of that has to do with the fact that I was able to have like a relationship through this process and let people in. I think a lot of times as actors, you feel like I have to be super professional and I can't say anything and I can't show any of my personality. And this is what I did and this is what I have prepared and that's it. When I learned early on that if you can connect with people in the room, people will want to work for you. Right. So I don't even feel like it was my talent that got me Huge as much as it was like I made them smile and I cared about them. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like authenticity and being genuine actually goes a long way in this business. I think a lot of people scare away from it, but I think it should be the opposite. I think it has helped me a lot. But then I did Huge. That only did one season, which was the saddest thing ever. It should have. I think it was ahead of its time. I feel like it would do really, really well now.
Right.
And then it was a long time before like I feel like it was a long time. It probably wasn't, but I went back to, I was still waiting tables all those times. And I did The Middle, which was a huge break for me because that was supposed to be a one-time co-star that ended up being a recurring guest star for like 4 seasons. And that was, I love that show so much.
Yeah. That was a great show. See, look at you, this comedy background. I love it.
Like I love it too. I think I was like really nervous because stand-up comedy was something I've always wanted to do. And I dabbled in Orlando and was like, oh no, I can't do this like at all. Like I would maybe try to do like a one-woman show, but like as far as doing stand-up, that is a world and a life that I don't think I'm cut out for. Like, now, holy shit.
Are there tapes floating around of this dabbling?
There is, well, I can't say for other people, but like, I mean, it was never, nobody knew who I was. I was like barely allowed to be in those places anyway.
Yeah.
It just, you know, it's one of those things that's like, I have such a respect for stand-up comedy, and that when I was doing it, I was like, oh, and this is probably, it's one of those things that people are like, I think I could do that. And it's like, just because you can tell a funny story does not mean you can be on stage. Like, all right, relax.
Yeah, people confuse being funny with their friends, like, oh, then that's all the stand-up is. Because if you watch guys, you know, like the big guys like Chappelle, he makes it look like he's just thinking it up on the spot. And little do people know, like, all this time and effort of crafting this material, crafting these stories, getting them right. But, you know, people just go, oh, look at that. He can do it. I can do that. And you're like,
yeah.
Can't.
But that's what makes somebody a legend, is because they make it look so effortless and they make it look so easy when it's absolutely not easy. Yeah. But maybe one day again. I won't rule it out. I do love it very much.
Oh, once we get back up and running, I might have to have you come by the Laugh Factory where I do my show and have you get up there
and do a solid 2 minutes. Can I just do 2 minutes?
Sure.
And half of that is just like, who's in the audience tonight? COVID sucked. Am I right? Am I right, guys? COVID.
I love that you have comedy shoulder. What's up, guys?
Hi. I thought I come with my own brick wall behind me. I'm just like, yeah.
So let's talk a little personal.
Shit.
You are married.
I am.
How did you and your husband meet?
We met at a mutual friend's birthday party at a bar that ended up being where, like, 2 blocks from where we first lived together, which was funny. But yeah, we went to a mutual friend's birthday party, and it's so funny. It's a funny story because it was a decade party. And I went as 80s. No, I went and I literally, the only thing I did was wear an off the shoulder thing. It was the worst costume. I was getting off of work at Outback Steakhouse.
So right there, that's a win. Every guy was like, she smells delicious.
I was like, I'm telling you, a little bacon in the bra goes so far with a lot of different men. It really works.
What are you wearing? What is that? Sirloin?
Yes, 8 ounce. Oh, my favorite question. What's the difference between the 6 and the 8 ounce sirloin?
Yeah.
It's 2 ounces.
Yeah.
Just the 2 ounces. That's literally that's a difference. And then at Olive Garden, it was, what's a super salad? You're like, no. Soup or salad? Okay, cool. But you said earlier a super salad? What's that? And you're like, no. I hate my life.
More greens than the regular salad?
Yes. Kale. That's what it is. Anyway. But no, so I went as 80s and he did like 90s, I guess, but he had shaved these weird lines in his beard where he kind of looked like a tiger. And I was like, I don't know about this. I really don't know about this. He's 6'4", like bald, like he's a big dude. I was like, with these lines on his face, I was a little intimidated.
Going in, did you know it was a setup, or you just met him?
No. Literally, our friend was like, oh, this is Adam. Like he is at my party and you don't know him. That was literally it. And I had just liked a guy at my job named Adam, and it went horribly. So I was very anti the name Adam from the get. So when she was like, this is Adam, I was like, oh, great. I never met an Adam I liked. And he was like, oh, And I don't remember what he said back, but he said something super shitty back to me, and I was like, oh, I'm interested.
By the way,
Like,
there's gotta be a word for that because it's not like a stereotype. It's you just lumped all Adams
all
together.
Adams, the first man.
You know, Adam Levine, Adam from Outback, Adam and Eve, they're all garbage. What?
Well, first of all, if we want to unpack all three, we could find that all three of them are probably garbage.
Okay.
No, and poor Adam Levine. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. The first man. I lumped all of them together. But we ended up talking for like 2 or 3 hours that night. And then he had come with a bunch of his guy friends. And one of them was like, hey, we're leaving. And like they had come together. And he was like, oh, okay. So I guess I'll get your number from Moffat, which was our friend, Moffat or something. And I was like, or you could get it now. Like what?
Yeah.
Like who says that they're gonna get your number from someone else when they're in front of you?
Yeah.
So like I called him out right then, and then he got it. He turned bright red, and I just loved this, like seeing this like 6'4" like man just have this bright red face. It was just very endearing. He's such a like teddy bear. But then like that went on to like 12-hour phone conversations, and then hanging out, and then like it's almost 12 years later, and here we are.
Isn't it crazy? So I've been married. We've been together like 10 years, which is about the same time difference. But isn't it weird that now, like, this is how people date? Like, there is no 2-hour, 3-hour. Oh, we're gonna fall asleep on the phone together. It's just I texted them, and you're just like, what is happening? So like love stories and like. What's the next rom-com gonna be? Just like I sent them a winky emoji, and that's it. Like there is no like I feel like romance is slowly falling apart, and we're watching
intimacy. I think it's just a rush. Everything is so rushed. It's like I need to know what this is, and like I think we don't allow. But that's even in our films. I feel like we don't allow relationships to really mature or have us fall in love with a character. We're so on to the next thing. And I think that's why, on a whole other note, I think that's why we have such a love for like certain celebrities, and we love seeing them in things, because then we don't have to write a script where we love them, because it's like, oh, we love them from everything else they did. Instead of just going, what is this movie right now? What are they doing? Does that make sense?
Wow, you just pulled the curtain back, and now I'm just like, wait a second.
I always think that a lot, especially with your lead character. I'm like, do we like this character, or are we literally just loving that their performance in something else, or love them as a person that now we love this? Because like as a performer, I'm constantly dissecting everything I do and what everyone else does.
I feel like everybody's mind is blown right now. Like, wait a second, do I not like these movies because I like this guy? Oh,
well, it's an observation I've made, but I don't know if that falls for, other people might not agree. In your comments, they're like, she's canceled. We hate her.
Hashtag canceled.
Just canceled. Don't do it. Oh my God, I'll cry.
So I do want to talk a little bit about Latinos in Hollywood, because I've seen you speak up against it. I know I've been vocal about it, and it's just so funny how quick people go, "Oh, you guys are so, why are you guys complaining?" Like you like I remember when like the Emmys thing came out. Like I remember I tweeted something about it, just like, oh no, that's what it was like in the memoriam section. I was like, hey, can we put like how we didn't get nominated in the memoriam at least?
Oh my God, as a death.
Yeah. Shit. And somebody tweeted me back like, you're why are you complaining? You got Jerome Jamel last year, and I was like, oh, so because we ate last year, we're not supposed to eat this year? Oh, okay, cool. That makes.
I totally get. I mean, I will say that I feel like we didn't celebrate that win anywhere near as much as we should have, especially in the Latino community. I feel like that was still very much more of a Black win, which it absolutely should be. But I feel like it's hard for me to say we should say this and we should fight for this when so much we don't watch our own shows.
Oh yeah.
We don't, we don't celebrate each other, and we also don't celebrate the Afro-Latino community anywhere near as much as we should. So it's like it's so balanced for me. But I think it's also because I've been told so many times, like, oh, you're not Latino enough because you're not completely bilingual, or you're not. And I'm on day 85 of my Duolingo, and I don't want to hear any shit. Okay? But it's like it is one of those things where it's like I feel 100% there should be more Latinos nominated. I feel like were incredible performances.
Yeah.
I just don't want us to get divisive in order to get there. I don't feel like that's the point. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. I still agree with you.
By the way, he should have gotten every award. Like I
Oh
saw
my God.
and I was like, oh my God. I don't know. Like that was the first time I got to see him like in a performance. I was like, I don't know who this guy or kid is. Amazing. He give him an Emmy, give him an Oscar, give him a Grammy even. I don't care. Just give everything.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I'm excited to see where he goes next too.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, we get more shows. Like, what do you think it is that we're lacking in order to get more viewership with us?
Why you turned this on me? You made this.
No, but no, sorry.
No.
I love this conversation.
I'm gonna, because I'm out there and I'm pitching comedies and stuff, and I'm gonna attack it from the comedy side of things. There isn't any half-hour sitcoms right now, any family Latino sitcoms. Like everybody always, and by the way, everybody's so quick to go, oh, but Superstore, just because America Ferrera's on it does not make it a Latino sitcom.
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with authenticity. People don't buy in. Latinos don't buy into a show that's not created by us. If you look at the last 20 years, every Latino show, Cristela, George Lopez, or there was was it Border Town with Seth MacFarlane? Like they've all been created by white showrunners.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like, would you prefer a home cooked meal from your family or Chipotle? The authenticity is not there. So Latino audiences don't buy in. And by the way, and when people go, oh, you're complaining about this, the Black community would be insulted if Blackish was run by a white showrunner. There would be an uproar in the community.
Absolutely. And it should be. I understand that.
But we don't. We just sure, yeah, we need our white savior to make our show and tell our stories. And if the stories aren't told right, our community doesn't buy in. They go, that show is a little too hokey for me. Because
and I get that, but like, I mean, well, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. I'm on a show with a white showrunner. But one of our creators is, I mean, this is Eddie Gonzalez's story, so much of it, and he's, you know, one of the producers, and I think there's so much space that needs to be filled, especially for our voices. But I do think it's hard because we're not given the same opportunities to always make these shows.
Right.
So it's hard for me to ever say anything bad about, you know, my show, because it's given me more opportunities for Latino people than it had before. You know what I mean? So like, I completely understand the white savior. I totally get that. But also, if somebody is trying to, you know, get voices out there, I don't necessarily think that we should just, you know.
All right. No, but the one thing I do like about your show on Netflix, like even with the white showrunner, it's not that Netflix doesn't come in and try to tinker with the show and change the vision. Like your showrunner's trying to carry out the vision of what's his Eddie
Gonzalez, yeah.
Eddie Gonzalez's stories, and I'm sure Eddie has input into what.
Yes, he's the co-creator. He's executive producer.
What you find with a lot of these Netflix shows is, again, white execs, and they just we got to give notes. We have to tinker with this. We have to fix that. That doesn't sit well with us. Like I wrote the script, and in it, you know, I'm American born, and I was trying to, with these two characters, sort of have that discussion of Latinx and Latino, Latina, Hispanic, because that's a big thing too. We're so divided because we're not a monolith. There is not one term that covers us all.
Right.
So the conversations between a younger character and then an older, like my mom character, going, I'm not saying Latinx. I'm not saying it. Like my language is this, and it's a gender-based language, and it's this whole conversation, and you could just see these execs getting uncomfortable with that conversation. Like, oh, can we not do that? And it's like, well, you got to have this conversation because we're having this conversation within the community, and it's important because we're trying to find our identity in this.
Right.
You know, so when you have networks that don't understand the stories, that don't understand the culture, they start tinkering with it and make it this bland, inauthentic product.
Yeah, I just think it's hard, especially with Latinx, because I know so many Latinos who feel so much more connected with that X.
Yeah, no. But that's
Because
why
you know what I mean? But you have to have that conversation. Absolutely. I totally get it. I mean, even in my Duolingo, it's weird. Do you love how I tried to make Duolingo sound like Spanish word? I was like, when I'm doing my, I was like, no, I'm not at all.
It's like the third time you've thrown it out there.
Because my Spanish helping app. I don't know, like what the fuck? What do I call it? It's called Duolingo. But when I said it, I had like a really horrible Spanish accent that I was trying to give it as if it were a Spanish word, and it's not. Anyway, what I've been learning about it when I do it is just like shit. It is so gender specific, and it is like I couldn't imagine how triggering that could be for many. And for me, if you put sponsoring Duolingo, shut the hell up.
Duolingo, you've got a spokesperson.
I do not. No, because people dog it all the time. So if it's horrible, I totally get it. I'm just trying to learn a language. But like, I want to be more inclusive. I feel like we come from, I don't know. It's like we try so hard to show our identity and to appreciate it, and then we feel like it's getting pulled apart. And I can't say that like isn't happening to people. Like, so it's hard for me to say this or that because I can just see all the sides of that coin. But for me specifically, if changing that letter makes somebody feel included in something that they lifelong didn't feel included in, I'm a part of it. You know, I totally get that. But would my grandparents have liked that? No.
My mother, I still fight with my mother. She'll never say it. It's like, what? Change my language? I'm like,
but we need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone needs to see, because what I always say is like the core audience of Latinos that we want to watch our shows are watching Telemundo, are watching shows that speak more to them, like you were saying, like is more authentically for them. So for us, like I feel like we hit such a nerve because we're YA, and the youth, like, I mean, they love something and they love it. They stand something. You know, it's such a blessing. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. But like, if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the first, second, third generation Latinos that are watching this show that is a little Spanglish every so often, like they feel connected to something. But I don't think that's gonna ring as true to someone who's a boomer watching Telemundo all the time. Like, they're not gonna want to watch what these like 16-year-old kids are doing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So it's hard.
I legit feel like our age range is kind of screwed because we are in the middle. Like, no, I get you, mom and dad. Oh no, I get you guys too. I don't.
Yeah. And I hate being devil's advocate. Like, I'm always like, no, pick a side. Like, have an opinion. But when stuff like this, it's like, you know, you totally get. But like, I've told this to a friend of mine who called me and was like, I don't know how to be more communicative with my family to bring up these conversations. And for some reason, they came to me. But I was like, I always feel like you have to think about the generation ahead of you, and not the one behind you, as far as like that mindset. We should always to our roots. It is respect. It is family. It is, you know, we live and breathe for our family. But I think it's also important to leave this place in a more inclusive world for the next generation of Latinos who can feel like they can live more free and not feel like, oh, again, my grandfather didn't want my mom to dance, so then I can't dance, and I got to teach my kids not to dance. Like, that's not what I want to do. That's what I don't think anybody wants. I just think, you know, it's a different mindset.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why it's so funny. Like, that's why a lot of what I do is, you know, and I hate to use them, but like I have my kids, and I remember growing up always having my father and my uncles always sit around having beers, and like, oh man, I could have done this if things were different. I could have done that. So for me, it's like, oh, I got to go all out for them. Because, you know, like, again, you don't realize how much things affect you, you know, and I know I've told this story before, but, you know, like growing up, there was no real role models for me to watch and go, oh, I want to be like that person, until Leguizamo hit the screen with Mambo Mouth. And I was very young. A lot of the jokes went over my head, but I do remember seeing him and just going, oh my God, who is this guy? And just becoming enamored with him. And, you know, as I started doing comedy, like watching his old stuff and just blown away.
Freak changed my life.
Freak. Oh my God, Sexaholics. I got to see, I think it was Sexaholics when he was workshopping it in New York. I went to see him multiple times.
The workshop?
Yep.
Wow.
He was
I
there.
saw.
He had a music stand, and he had the script out, and he would just do it. Now I just remember watching him, just blown away, and watching it change, and going, "Oh my god! Like he's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing."
I saw Ghetto Clown and History.
Mhm.
Those are the
That's,
2 times I've seen him live.
that's the one I did not get to see live at Latin History, and I was
Oh
so
my god, it's so good.
okay. But no, so back to representation, like you don't realize how much that affects you or affects kids until, when Coco came out. I took my 7-year-old at the time, and I took him with my wife's nieces. And, my wife is white, so her nieces, little blonde haired, blue eyed, and they were kind of into the movie, not really. But like, I remember watching the movie, and, everybody's like always cries at the end. If you don't cry, you're dead inside.
You're dead inside.
Don't cry, just unfriend me now. If you didn't cry,
we have nothing to talk about then.
We had nothing. If you didn't cry, you're evil. Go away. But I cried the whole movie. Jess, my kid turned to me and he's like, oh, he looks just like me. And then he just sat there and did not move. Jess, I was like, if anybody had walked by, they would have been like, who is this crazy guy just crying? I was just a mess. A mess. But again, you don't realize how those things affect kids, like not to see them even at that young of an age in cartoons or like, in these live action shows, like, you were in Liv and Maddie, but how often do we see Latino characters being the main character and stuff? So it does affect them.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember seeing Brink. That was the first Disney original movie. And that had Tiana in it, I think. And she, oh my god, I was like, oh my god, she's skateboarding, like, or rollerblading, like, she's so cool. Like, it's unbelievable what that representation can do across the board. And I get so choked up when I get messages like that, where they're like, oh, you look like me, you sound like me. And that's why you do it.
Yeah. Well, all right. So here, before I let you go, I usually like to ask, like, what's next? But you know what? We're going to get deep here. We're going to get real deep.
Shoot.
Jess, what would you like your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
Oh, I would like that to be a lot of things. Just like in general, or the things I want to achieve, or how I should make people feel. Is it all of those things?
Oh, give me a little bit of everything now. You just made it. You gave me layers. I love it.
Well, I love layers. I have thought about this, but I'm very mindful of that. I think that, we have to live with purpose. And I think being artists, especially right now, I try to think of that when I do anything, because like I think about like what my kids are going to say and be like, Mom, what did you do during this time? And I was like, I retweeted something, honey. It was fine. Yeah. I'm an activist now. But I would really love to. I mean, I want to win all of the things. I won't lie to you. I want all of the shiny things that say my name on them. I practice my speeches for them every day. I practice my SNL speech every day. I want to be seen as like, a boss bitch. I want to be on the same list as America. I want to be on the same list as Eva and Issa. I want to feel like I made great work as far as producing, directing, writing, helping other marginalized communities tell their stories and their voices. Like that for me, if I'm like given the opportunity to create something, it has to mean something, so that's really important to me. And I want to start a foundation in my grandmother's name. That's a big one for me, because I feel like, because at the time when she passed, we had no money at all to give her like a proper funeral. And I feel like that should never be on a family's mind when they lose a loved one. So I would love to start a foundation and have that really be a legacy for my family as well. But I just hope I make people laugh, and I encourage, people who look like us to stand in their power and to live their dreams.
I love it. Look at you. And you know
what?
I
know. I feel like that was my speech for Miss America. And I'm like, and if you choose me for Miss LA, I will solve world hunger.
You can do it. We can all do it.
We can all do it. It's so easy. I just want the world to hug.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love everything you stand for. I love that, you're fighting the fight. It's I feel like the community is starting has woken up, and we're starting to see changes here, in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, seeing the representation and the call for it, and just everybody fighting for the same, like, we're trying to change the way things look and the way things are.
And vote. Register to vote.
Yes, vote, people. I actually just did a campaign for spreadthevoteus.com, because I didn't realize it's like they were like, we need to have young people go out and work the polls.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed like they set up a poll and old people just showed up, and they're like, no, people volunteer for that. And if we don't have people that look like us, older Latinos get nervous and they won't go in because they're scared no one speaks the language and they won't vote. So young people, please go vote. Please go work the polls if you can. Before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, I know, because I didn't do the cool thing that you did where you at your handle, because I'm old and I didn't know that was the thing. So please find me on the gram. Excuse me, Eric, you're interrupting my plug for myself. Thank you. I need perfect silence for that. Please find me on Instagram at Jess_M_Garcia, because there's 8,000 Jessica Garcias in this world. On Twitter at Jasmine Merci Garcia, and in life, hopefully. Don't find me, but I hope to find you. Now I'm a stalker. Oh, we should have ended this, and I'm creepy now.
After you're big, like, I want to just motivate people.
I just want to motivate. I will find you. I want to give you layers. I just want you to see all the different shades of Jess.
Jess, thank you again for spending this time with us. I'm not gonna lie, I'm even more infatuated with you. Just you're an amazing person. You're very warm. You're very loving, and I just love your whole mission in life. And I can't wait to see you in person and maybe air hug, because I don't know what the rules are going to be at that time. Fist bump, elbow. I don't know.
Oh my God, I went to Outfest the other day and it was like, it was scary.
Yeah, everyone's uncomfortable. I just did a show on Saturday. It was an outdoor show, and like the host brings you up, and you're just like,
You're like, if one of you cough, get the fuck out of here.
I'm out of here. Heckle me, fine. Cough, I'm gone. But thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Take care. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back next week.
Yes, I'll watch all of them.